From the UFC president calling out the Heat's mascot for no reason, to the Irishman being his favorite athlete on the UFC roster. Here's why Dana White blames everyone, except Conor McGregor for NBA mascot KO. Yep, you heard that right. The UFC president thinks his athlete did nothing wrong, and it's all on Bernie for signing up for a brutal beating. The crowd at the NBA Finals Game 4 saw way more than just a basketball game. All thanks to that Irishman doing what he does best, stirring up controversy. McGregor sent the Miami Heat's mascot Bernie crashing to the floor with his good old left hook. And while the fans missed seeing McGregor in action, they didn't want him to go start beating the heck out of anyone he could find. The whole fight world shared their 2 cents on the incident, with most of them sending love to the poor mascot. And guess what? Dana White jumped on the bandwagon too. But while everyone was calling McGregor out for his carelessness, White was blaming the mascot and the authorities. And I don't blame him. Who in their right mind thought getting McGregor to punch the mascot was a good idea? I mean, of course, it was going to end horribly. Dana said, "What do you expect? I mean, what are those mascot things made out of?" That's not where he stopped, though. Dana also said that if he were a mascot, he'd never have professional fighters punching him in the face. 'Cause it's not the brightest thing in the world. Way to blame an innocent man, Dana. Getting punched by MMA stars is definitely above a mascot's pay grade. I mean, it all started as a fun promotional skit, but ended up with a trip to the hospital for poor Bernie. Here's the thing. Getting punched by an MMA star is bad as it is. But Conor McGregor? Come on, that's simply the recipe for disaster. He's one of the hardest-hitting athletes on the entire UFC roster. So whoever came up with this skit definitely didn't think this through. The Irishman went on the court during a timeout, when Bernie walked in donning huge boxing gloves. I'm sure you can guess what happened after. McGregor gave the mascot a taste of his brutal hands and kept on beating him even after the poor guy dropped to the floor. Ouch! He then sprayed his new pain relief spray Tidal. But of course, it wasn't of much work here, and the guy donning Bernie's costume was taken to the ER immediately, where he was treated with real medication, not some athlete's plant-based spray. It's crazy how not a single person on the Miami Heat's team thought this was a bad idea and could end terribly. That's why White is blaming everyone else out there. Conor's always ready to put on a crazy show, so someone else should have said no to this idea. It's not the first time we're seeing mascots get beaten up by UFC stars. Remember when Deontay Wilder beat the hell out of ESPN's Nacion mascot in 2018? The UFC president brought it up and said, "What's up with mascots wanting to get punched in the face by professional fighters?" Good question, Dana. I guess it pays them big bucks. Conor got a lot of backlash for his reckless behavior, which is another reason why White put all the blame on the mascot and Miami Heat. White just doesn't want bad PR for his athlete. Hear me out, the Irishman's getting ready to make a comeback of a lifetime. Remember when he broke his leg when he locked horns with Dustin Poirier at UFC 246? That injury's kept him out of the octagon for nearly 2 years. But here's the good news. McGregor's ready to step into the cage, at least he's trying. Well, that's one way to put it. Conor's comeback is expected to be one of the fights in the UFC, and you know he's definitely one to get all the PPVs. White announced Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor as the Irishman's comeback fight, and the UFC president knows what he's doing, because their rivalry's been making rounds on the internet. All thanks to the promotion's very own reality TV show, The Ultimate Fighter. They're both coaches on the show, and there's some heated drama between them. White is all about big fights in the UFC, so it makes sense why he doesn't want anything to get in the way of the Irishman's comeback. He wants that fight to be hyped as hell, even if that means he needs to fire shots at other people to save Conor's name. White is trying his best to save his athlete from bad PR, but here's the thing. I think it might be too late for that. Conor's name is already going down in the dirt. McGregor's one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. So it's no surprise that he's still making headlines after being out of the game for 2 years. But get this time he's making them for all the wrong reasons. Yeah, I'll get into all the dirty deets of what he's been up to these days in a bit, but from what it looks like, White won't be able to do much for him. I'm sure it won't come as a shocker if you've been keeping up with the fight world, but Conor's ratings are going down. Take The Ultimate Fighter as an example. The reality TV show has a rep for being boring, and has never done great on cable, so Dana was hoping McGregor's appearance was going to turn the tables. The UFC president was expecting the ratings to go through the roof, so the Irishman's season of TUF also premiered on ESPN's primary channel, along with the usual ESPN Plus platform. But even he couldn't turn the needle, and the show finished number 11 on cable for its premiere episode. That's a bummer, and I'm sure White's furious because things aren't going his way. Now, it could be that the reality TV show is doomed to fail, or Conor's recent shortcomings might have something to do with it. I don't know about you, but I think it's the latter. Think about it. Conor might still be great when it comes to knocking opponents down in the octagon, but there's no denying that his reputation's never been worse. Let's be real, the guy is tangled in lawsuits for assault. Remember the NBA Finals game where Conor beat up a mascot? Well, turns out that's not the only thing the Irishman did there. A woman accused the MMA star of assaulting her in the men's bathroom at the Kaseya Center. Say what now? Not only this, but apparently the whole arena security was in on it and forced her into the bathroom where the Irishman was already waiting for her. While there's a lot of plot holes in the story, there's also tons of videos of the whole incident. I guess we gotta see how this one goes, but one thing's for sure, the fight world is done with the Irishman. Yeah, get this, fans are calling McGregor a clown, and I don't blame them at all, because the fighter's career is going down the drain, and he's giving 0 Fs about it. Before all this, Conor was pretty excited about his comeback, feeling good, energetic, and ready for the whole thing. But it looks like he's not feeling that way anymore. I mean, why else would he be missing deadlines? His comeback bout isn't in the cards for 2023, because Conor still isn't in USADA's drug testing pool. And you know how the rule goes, a fighter needs to be in the drug pool for at least 6 months before stepping into the ring. The Notorious said he wanted to make a comeback and test his waters in the welterweight division. But it looks like there has been a change of plans. Instead of working things out for his fight, he's buying Belgian bulls for his farm in Ireland. But maybe this is all part of a bigger plan. Fans think that White wants his star to get past all his controversies before returning to the cage, and that's why they're delaying the big comeback. And it makes sense, right? With Dana defending McGregor and all. After all, he is one of his favorite athletes. Why? Well, because McGregor's brought White a lot of dollar bills throughout his career, so you can't blame him for loving the Irishman, right? Even Aljamain Sterling said he wished he could be treated more like Conor. So you can imagine the kind of privileges the Notorious enjoys in the game. So there you have it, fight fans. From Conor being White's favorite athlete on the UFC roster, to the UFC president calling out the Heat's mascot for letting the Irishman punch him, this was why Dana White blamed everyone except Conor McGregor for the NBA mascot KO.